Gamers, hey, howdy, and hello, and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and gamers. Let's fix that camera angle a wee little bit. Let's fix it a bit, and welcome everybody to the match of the day. Welcome to the match of the day. All right, we've got Extinction versus AMPLIFY. All right, this is going to be a cinema banger. All right, I'm pumped about this one. I'm real hyped about it, genuinely. A lot of players from both of these teams, you know, me personally, I've played with. Of course, I'm biased towards Extinction because, you know, that's my team. That's my team. So we will be headed into our first match here shortly, live on both my channel and the Extinction channel. I'm stoked to be here. Well, again, I'll say it again. Stoked to be here on both ends of the table, on both sides. Let me make sure everything is good to go. There we are. Shared chat is now enabled too. Let's go. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, I think that is actually our cue. That right there is our cue. Yeah, no, that's our cue. But I hope everybody's having a fantastic morning, noon, evening, night, whatever it might be for you. Now, we will be headed to Ilios. Extinction getting the first ban of map number 1. That ban is Diva, so it protects off that ball from being banned, because I mean we know Pella is gonna be absolutely clobbering, and a Freya ban from the side of AMPLIFY. So that will be very, very fun. But we're headed into it here. We are headed into it. We are headed into map numero uno. There it is. We're good. We're good. Let me also stop the music. But we're rock solid. We're ready to go. AMPLIFY has got J-Man, the Crazy Cat, Gap, Biz, Ewan, and then on the side of Extinction, of course, Juno, Temp, Pella, Lampent, and Social. We saw absolute carnage from Pella on this very map just the other day, just on Friday. And although I might still be tired, it might have still been a long day, I'm not nearly as tired today because there wasn't a 24-hour endurance sim race to attend. So we're a bit more locked in today than we were the other day. But here nonetheless, and jumping straight into it, of course, Pella rolling out on the ball. Lampent TPs the whole gang out. Gap playing the monkey, gonna be going ultra aggressive early, forcing out Pella, but it will be Pella rolling it back around and looking for a big slam. Now, when this slam comes in, the engage will come in from Lampent as well. But J-Man will be there in the Cassidy to try and shut it down. Pella looks to double roll in and slams down on top of Ewan. Ewan falls one and is dead permanently, forever, for good. Lampent finds one and Gap as well, but Gap has the trade onto Social. Overall, though, Extinction still up numbers, still up a team fight, as they do take the W in the first team fight. A very hard engage from the likes of Pella and Lampent, and also something that it didn't even like click with me in the moment, that we've got Temp on the Bastion, just providing an incredible amount of damage at any point in time that this Winston comp wants to go for an engage. Pella goes for the slam in the back line, and although Social is playing just kind of hard stuck to their Bastion, not getting much beat because of Social playing with Temp. Temp is able to rotate so much quicker than Gap or J-Man is able, or even Biz, for that instance, is able to go for the engage. But now Pella goes for another engage as I get lost in all the numbers. And what do they mean, Mason? But what they mean is that Temp has an incredible output of damage onto the likes of Gap once again, as Gap is gapped and J-Man is put on his back as Lampent gets that pick. But Biz is there with the pick onto Temp. Now Lampent gets the second onto Ewan, and it will be cleanup for Extinction. Very swift and easy fights so far with this, I want to say, new style that we haven't really seen from the likes of Extinction, as Temp goes for an ult really early. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. There we go. That was a very interesting early ult, maybe just to force time, maybe just to force out cooldowns, but nonetheless, Lampent uses pulse and finds a pick onto Gap. It's gonna lead Lampent enabled to go aggressive, but there, I mean, they're spawn camping them right now. This is this is quite unfortunate. So many ults online for the likes of Amplify, but no one is going to be, someone does get the touch. Ewan is able to get the beat off as well to keep J-Man Crazy Cat alive, but Pella is just going to be swinging around, slamming, looking for all the, just using every single cooldown in the gauntlet. Crazy Cat goes for the ult to try and look for something as well, but Tim finds Biz. Biz no longer on the track means that Social can bust it down or beat it down, or yo, this cast is getting a little too PG. As Social just amps his team onto J-Man as J-Man tries to go for the beat. Gap is there with the primal to try and force out Temp, but Temp is stubborn along with the rest of Extinction. The point does flip back in Extinction's favor. Ewan goes for the boop and Temp does fall. Finally, a final blow gets picked out, but a huge boop, genuinely, from the side. That's so much damage gone, but Lampent comes back quickly, but on the far end nonetheless. They have the Cassidy, but even though the bubble gets put out, I guess it's just a ping diff, as the projectile was already inside that range. And Pella with the cleanup to find the final blows. The final blows. As eventually, what was that Elmo laugh, by the way? As eventually, after a bit of stagger, a bit of stipulations, a bit of NDA signings, the contract is sealed, and so is round one of the first map. I am so intrigued by this Bastion. This Bastion is so interesting to me.
They might try something.
Because you don't typically think of putting in a Bastion when you're putting in a tracer, a ball, that kind of thing. As we do see Temp switching onto the Ashe now. Gap also making a switch onto the Sigma. Biz TPs their team out. Lampent, we've seen very often lately, be playing the Vendetta, but this time around onto the Genji. Social also onto the Wu Yang. Now, Lampent biding their time, waiting patiently, looking for an engage alongside the likes of their tank Pella. Pella forces Biz out as the dive engages, as Lampent gets one onto Ewan, and as that little walk happens, the rest of Amplify is getting cooked in the backline. Just wasn't enough sustain, just wasn't enough peel for each other, and they all collapse inwards like a dying star. And that dying star is amplified by a million as Extinction force their way into the nebula. And you could say make them go extinct. Extinction doing what they do best though, and playing ultra aggressive, literally in their spawn. Gap does get that pick onto Social as Lampent tries to finish off the likes of Crazy Cat and J-Man, but doesn't do so. Gap able to get that pick onto Juno as Juno kills Crazy Cat, and these trades are good and all, but they are still almost going in favor. Oh my goodness, they are still going in favor of Extinction overall, but no supports online for Extinction. J-Man sitting in the back right here has a lot of free reign, as Temp not really putting too much pressure on them quite yet, not quite having the angle to be able to. J-Man now rotating over with Biz and Ewan. It'll be a matter of this engage. Pella goes for an early rotation all the way around to try and get that pick, and they do force out J-Man, get J-Man early. Ewan's able to stay alive just a little bit longer. but the awesome ball tech from Bella comes in clutch. I feel like I'm hearing the game twice. I don't know why. But nonetheless, the person who isn't hearing the game at all is Timp, as Timp drops from the engage from Gap, and now Social taking the duel against the sword wielder. But the other sword wielder of the Genji of Lampin takes out Biz, and that will be this fight dissolved like salt dissolves into water. And like water flows, ebbs and flows, the only thing that is not flowing is this control point for Extinction. There are so many ults once again online for the side of Amplify, but it will have to be a clear and concise engage of a fight. But this is such an early engage that they just weren't ready for. Gap does take down Social early. The beat gets forced out by E1 via Lampin's Genji Blade. Now Biz goes for the ult, but Tim throws Bob down on the point. Now Crazy Cat has the ult online, biding their time, waiting to use it. J-Man does take down Lampin, and this is such a great early engage to the fight for the likes of Amplify. Timp just shooting from the backline, getting that damage in, and now after Pella comes back, the hard engage is there. Lampin moves over onto the Echo, as I forget half the character's name sometimes. But Gap with a crazy primal rage, juggling around the backline of Extinction, finding one, finding two with Social and Juno, and that will spell the end of Extinction's domination so far, as finally they and that of Amplify eke out a fight win. Pella going all the way from downtown for the engage, goes for the slam on the J-Man. All of these players for Amplify playing this inside lane, except for the likes of Gap and Biz, who go for the dive. Biz gets dropped instantly though, and that's going to leave Lampin to be able to hard engage. As J-Man getting dropped means that Lampin can go crazy now in the backline. Lampin engages, puts all the sickies on the Gap, leaves Gap one and dead, and now it is just the backline left. No ultimates online for either of these teams. Social closing in on their own, but it is just going to be Juno and Social running it down. Just Social getting the pick on the Biz, Pella, and Lampin finishing off the likes of what remains. And what remains now is nothing, as Extinction swiftly and dominantly takes map 1. Wow, wow, that's awesome. I mean, the composition, I gotta say, was super intriguing. It was super intriguing from Extinction, running out on Ilios well on Cage, going Cage side and playing Bastion. It's, you know, it's not typically a comp a character you see. Not typically a character you really see get pulled out with the ball comp. And putting Lampin on, we know Lampin is an incredibly flexible DPS player, but as we head to map number 2 of New Junk City, picked by Amplify, I will be intrigued to see what kind of bans they go out. I would assume that, you know, something like the ball gets banned out, unless Twirls is coming in. Then maybe you target ban something else. Maybe you target ban the Bastion. You don't let Tim get away with murder, or the Tracer, even if it's something you want to ban. But instead, interestingly enough, Amplify with the first ban the Doomfist. They ban Doomfist, and we'll know in just a moment what that second ban is. But I mean, so far, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sweep. This is a pretty hard sweep. And I do want to say there were some bright spots on well for Amplify. You know, I don't count them completely out. They had toward the end when they made that rotation onto the Sombra comp, where I was assuming that they were going to try and stick with that Sombra. But they, instead of sticking with the Sombra, they just kind of back down and play to their pros, what they're good at. I'm struggling with words today. You know, it'd be like that sometimes. Not enough caffeine, perhaps, but speaking of caffeine, who will probably need more caffeine is Social, who's going to most likely be on the Lucio, as Extinction is banning out the Juno. And as we head into New Junk City, we can see that it is in fact Twolz coming in to play for Pella. So even though Doomfist was the ban, perhaps Doomfist was the ban because Pella wasn't in. Very interesting. Very interesting ban phase. I'm very curious to see once again. Very curious to see once again what kind of comps get rolled out here. I don't know if they're trash talking each other by calling each other out, or if they're just genuinely, they don't know who's slow loading. But we're headed into map number 2. Twolz looking to play that Zarya Lampent on the Vendetta. We've seen it time and time again. This is the tried and true. That, along with, you know, the Doom, the Doom Wrecking Ball kind of compositions we've been seeing from Extinction. So I'm excited to see it. I'm looking forward to it. Temp starting out fast with that TP. Temp then going to be going over to the Sojourn. Both teams matching now, matching compositions. Lampent gonna be easy going, if you will. Just biding their time, trying to force out bubbles, force out cooldowns, maybe force out time. But the engage is there. J-Man able to rotate away from Lampent. As we do see, Juno is actually staying with Lampent. The bubble gets put down and the Suzu gets put down, but nothing will come of it. Temp now shooting into that backline as Lampent finds one, then finds a second onto Ewan. The gates are open and hell is let loose as this Vendetta of Lampent is a smooth operator into the backline. Once again, with the help of Twolz's bubble, Social speed, Juno's Suzu. I mean, the whole team is absolutely locked in right now. And you just can't, and look at this aggression. Look at this early aggression, playing so fast, so smooth. But Amplify realized this. They send Biz out on the long off angle. They have the long Knights on their side, or so they hoped, but Biz is only there to be a distraction, to force the rotation from the rest of Extinction, as now Lampent looks to engage again, gets the bubble, doesn't quite find anything, forced back now, no cooldowns, can't whirlwind for another 4 seconds, and that's going to hold them back just a little bit, but Biz getting a little too aggressive, might get punished here, does get punished as Gap finds one, but it's just not enough, as again Extinction just forced their way into a fight that, even though they might have been down on map control because of that early rotation from Amplify, sending Biz on that off angle to force the rotation from Extinction, it just wasn't enough. And they are down Temp right now, but they have the space, they have the time, and no touches in time. Biz doesn't make it. Biz now a little stuck here for a few seconds, perhaps. Lampent already pushed up, maybe a little too far, but is able to get out using those cooldowns. Looking to use that overhead slash, as well as Juno with that ultimate coming online. Still, for the likes of Amplify, though, not having anything online could spell disastrous. Twolz gonna be coming on that grab 10% sooner as the ult comes down from Lampent instantly onto Gap, and they will be forced all apart. I mean, it's spread like a New Year's feast, if I do say so myself, as Social finds 2 onto their counterpart of Ewan and Crazy Cat. The iconic J-Man point. Chills. Dude, my players are freaks. My players are freaks and I love them. But the early engage is there, as already Extinction pushing and forcing the trouble. Crazy Cat is forced to use ult and Suzu early. Twolz is on this off angle, what they thought was alone, but the hard engage is there and the follow-up is 2. So many ults were forced out, but only 2 were actually used from the likes of Extinction, and just one, excuse me, not so many ults. That's just not how numbers work. I gotta learn how to count before I can cast. But Crazy Cat gets their ult forced out, trying to keep Gap alive, and as soon as Gap just barely leaves the likes of that ult. They instantly hit W as Gap now on this off angle gets instantly taken down completely on their own. Timp now slides into the back line. J-Mac gets taken down to 1, doesn't quite make it out, but Biz will be next on the chopping block if they don't get out of it soon, but they do perish to the hands of Timp, or the gun, I suppose. And again, Extinction with the early aggression, the dominance being showcased as they are now 1 point away from taking this map in such a dominant style. Extinction though do get caught out by the spawn change and are on the back foot just a little bit. The TP does force some eyes, but eventually the rest of Extinction do make it out with their lives. 4 ults online and Lampent in the back line. Gonna have that ultimate online. Crazy Cat drops really low. J-Mac decides it's time to go, but gets instantly taken out by Timp, who didn't even have the ult. Twolves gets taken out before any help can come to the likes of them, but Biz gets taken out by Lampent, and then Lampent just swinging around. Juno's dead, which could be bad news bears, but it just doesn't matter when you have a hot chick with a sword, as Lampent finds for that fight, just taking off angles left, right, and center, and hitting the little freestyle bunny hop at the end. We've been watching so much of Lampent. I mean, it's a chef's kiss. It's just beautiful. It's truly a stunning sight. All right, I can't lie. I seize it when I seize it. All right, Biz trying to put up a fight also on that Vendetta, but Gap and Biz just not quite linking up as good as they need to be. But that was a great engage from the likes of Biz. Lampent finds the trade onto Gap though, and that just puts Amplify in a worse situation. J-Man is on the point, forcing the issue as Twills does find Ewan. The numbers are in Extinction's favor now. Now, Twills walking back from spawn, they will just be biding the time, waiting. The engage is so hard into this backline as the slam slam dunk. Man, I gotta like take a breather or something. The yeet grab of the century, and to finish it off, Ewan gets, annihilated. There's no, we got nothing else for it. This early setup, Twill's so pushed up as Biz and Lampent both trying to go, but point is gonna have to get forced, and they know this. Lampent does take down Biz with the assistance of Twills. Ewan gets the point touch, but does get taken out. Now it'll be Juno's turn to try and build up that ultimate. The point does flip in Amplify's favor as J-Man takes down Timp, but so much more healing is in favor of Extinction right now. Gap goes onto the ball to get back fast, to come back together, as Biz is also on the Tracer now. But Lampent with that ult again. So many ultimates for Lampent. Just this point alone as they go for the ult, and Ewan gets dunked on once again, as does the rest of the backline. Crazy Cat falls, J-Man, Biz falls. It's just Gap left just to hold off the hopes and dreams of this map not getting taken down to map point, as Gap just pushes themselves into the gap of the afterlife, as Extinction 3-0s Amplify on Flashpoint and is now on match point. Holy, dude, Lampent was a monster. This engage was so clean. The cooldown usage for the rest of Extinction, the aggression, I gotta say, from the rest of Extinction, just enough to make a grown man cry. As now we will be going to Amplify's map pick once again, and that is going to be Push, and we're gonna Runa Sapi. Amplify's pick of Runa Sapi. Huh. A map that Extinction actually themselves choose quite often when they are forced to go on to Push. So I'm curious here. I'm intrigued, if you will, as I want to get some stats going here. I want to take a look at some statistics. Let's pull up the scoreboard. Let's pull up the scoreboard here. As now it's gonna be, I'm doing some looking here. I'm looking with my eyeballs, and I'm seeing Lampent going 25-4 with 6k damage. That was map 1. This is it. 31-0. Oh my god. Social also 27-0. 9k damage. The most damage dealt was J-Man with 3k. Or sorry, Gap with 3.8k, excuse me. Dude. That's insane. That's insane. 31-0. That's a bonkers. That is absolutely bonkers. Wow. I got like tinnitus or something going on here. This is crazy. I mean, okay. Some other numbers just to put it in perspective. The most elite elims from the likes of Amplify was also Gap with 4, going 4-9. I mean, it's not just domination. It's like it's giving quickest match in FACEIT Master Division history, perhaps. Unfortunately, you know, I myself have played against Gap, and I know how good of a tank player Gap is. And you know, I think there is something to say about J-Man is a monster on the Sojourn, but Temp putting them in their place. Twol's an extremely flexible tank player, but Gap, you know, when you think of Gap, when I think of Gap, at least with my prior experience playing against him, scrimming with and against him, mostly main tanks. You know, I think of Monkey, Orisa, Reinhardt. You know, the true tanks of Overwatch, the honorable tanks. But being forced onto like Zarya, for instance, you know, Gap on map 1 on Ilios did go Monkey and was on Monkey and Sigma for the grand majority. Gap went 11-8. Also putting up the best numbers for the entire team, except for J-Man's damage, which was just about 2k more. J-Man map 1 had 8k damage, Gap with 6k. But to put it in perspective, for Extinction, Pella the most with 10k damage. Next up being 7k for Temp. So it's like the numbers map 1. We're almost there. They, you know, statistically on paper, it looked like it could have been a bit closer. Well, you get into the nitty gritty of the game, in the macro of the game, and it was just both maps so far have been pretty much a stomp, a knockout. On the second point of Ilios, you had a bright spot there for Amplify, but since then it's just been domination. Yeah. So going to Runasapi, the bans are in, the picks are in, and as perhaps expected, as on Amplify's map pick, we will be going with a ball ban for the likes of Amplify and a break ban for the likes of Extinction. So I can't say that the ball ban is very surprising, but Twol's is in, so you know, prevents Pella from coming in and doing what Pella does best. Aw, that's kind. Very kind of Social to say something. But I mean, every single one of these players on both Amplify, I've been harsh on Amplify, but Amplify have been high contenders and highly sought after players. Every single one of them, Crazy Cat, Gap, Ewan, Biz, J-Man, this core of Amplify has been together for a very long time, and you see why. You see, I mean, they're 8-3. They're a great team in Master Division, but Extinction showing why perhaps they're not quite the best, as Extinction has had quite a turnover. As this is gonna be a key map. We're seeing Extinction pull out the Diva, Gap pulling out the Zarya. So you know, almost the natural counter to Diva, as the backline the front line of Extinction forces out the back line of Amplify. Gap just walking onto this front line as Social gets taken down to 1 and gets put down. The Gap able to get a bit more aggressive now. No speed online, but no bubbles now for Gap either. Twirl's gonna have to be playing so slow and methodical against this high charge Zarya. Juno gonna have to be doing a very, very spot on job of staying agile. If Extinction are going to lose a map, it is going to be this map. It is have to be here and now that Amplify get put on the stage and get their names on the board. Because right now we just haven't seen much from them, but so far this is a snowball as Extinction struggling to find their footing. Biz taking aggressive stances, the bubbles coming out left, right, and center. I mean, you gotta wonder, maybe Extinction needs to switch onto this Vendetta Zar comp. We just saw them dominate on this comp, and it looks like they are going to be rotating onto that comp. But the Echo of Lampent is going to have that ultimate. Maybe you go for a Vendetta copy this fight even. But it is going to be it's going to be a deciding fight, as no ults quite yet on the board for anyone except, I'd say the closest is Lampent and Crazy Cat. It'll be who can get a cleaner engage first. Twirls has to use those bubbles to save Temp and Lampent. Lampent gets aggressive, but does take down Ewan. It does get get advantage of having that pick. The ult gets forced out as Lampent just copies whatever they can see. Crazy Cat gets dropped by the copied Kiri, and the damage being put in by Lampent's copy. Biz does take Juno, which is going to prevent Extinction from going too aggressive. No ults used. Very, very important for Amplify. No ults used that fight for them. They still have an astounding almost 100-meter lead with this push bot. So this fight is going to be a true decider fight as J-Man goes for the engage. Click every button, old man. You'll find it eventually. Biz does take down Timp in the back line with that hard engage. Lampent does get the trade onto Biz. Ewan fighting for their life against Lampent's beam, but Ewan lives with the help of the rest of their team. Juno dubs it, still winnable as both teams trade out Kiri ults, but the grab is there from Gap, and Twirl's just not quite having it yet. Will eventually fall. They do find J-Man, which again, it throws it back and forth. As now you're gonna see Lampent come out onto the Tracer. We're not gonna see that Vendetta yet. They don't see that Vendetta as critical here, but they do see Lampent as a critical key to winning this. Which who doesn't? Lampent's a goat. But speaking of goats, Vendetta, the goat of the Coliseum, gonna have that ultimate, but the grab is there from Twirls as Biz perishes before the ult can even slam down from Ewan. No beat gets onto Biz, and they fall. Crazy Cat now getting put in a locker, but Gap able to find that right click onto Lampent, trading things out. Social gets beat engaged, and that's gonna leave the rest of Amplify getting, oh, what a clean shot from Juno. The rest of Amplify getting put down, and finally Extinction do find their footing with Amplify using and investing a lot there. I mean, so does Extinction using the grab, the beat, but Gap using ult, Ewan using ult, J-Man ulting early, like lots of factors coming into that, as this off angle from Juno is kind of diabolical. At any point they could leave, but we're seeing Lampent also take a hard off angle, which makes me wonder if Juno is just a distraction, and that's exactly what it is. But Amplify completely pull the rug out from under them and find that map flip. But even with the map flip, Biz still falls from Tim's ult, and now it's all up to Amplify whether they can continue to hold their footing and find a pick, find an off angle, something. But J-Man gets stuck on the door frame with the slide and falls. Temp falls to 1 HP and eventually falls via Crazy Cat, who is the last to remain in Extinction. Finally, I think I said this term a good like 7 or 6 even times so far this map, but they get their footing. They have ults coming online soon. Juno almost having that ult, a lot more ults in favor of that Amplify team this fight. Juno getting forced out, no TP online anymore. Gonna have to play a little bit slower. The ult comes out from Lampent, not finding anything. Now the ult engaged from Crazy Cat is there. Juno doesn't quite have it. Juno puts it down, but it gets canceled as they die. And Biz finds Twirls. And although Extinction were finally about to get that first cap, it does go in Amplify's way. Tim trying to put up a fight on this off angle doesn't quite find their one. Lampent getting staggered a bit. Same with Social, but wait a minute. Social finds Crazy Cat. That is an actual huge find. Oh my god. As now Social stuck in this backline. Ooh, barely is able to get the megas to stay alive. As now Ewan gets shoved back into where Social just was. Lampent has to play slow. The rest of Extinction is now there to play, and Social just lives and gets out with their life as now the engage is put on evil footing. Biz is on this off angle against Lampent, but both grabs get used simultaneously. The difference is the ult usage from Amplify is there to follow up on Gap's grab. Biz and Ewan both ulting, both having those ults online. Social, whether they didn't have it or maybe they just didn't, they decided the investment wasn't worth it, as now they do have it for J-Man's ult or for a hard beat engage. We see Social using that beat engage, and the rest of Extinction, you know, not just Social obviously, using that beat to engage almost more than we see it defensively. The likelihood of that beat engage, I'd say, is quite high here, as we want to see Amplify get put on the back foot. Extinction wants to see that aggression come out, but Amplify goes first, and that means that the beat can come second. Social forced to back out just a little bit as Twirls has to push back, but Juno does fall. Gap gets traded, but it is a 1-for-1. It is, the ball is in anyone's court still. The Biz is able to find Timp because they have that healing on board. Lampent just staying alive. That is all Extinction have to do as of right now. Their spawns do have them as the you know, the preferred fight winners, that they can just stay alive to the Suzu and TP forced out from Crazy Cat. Crazy Cat has that ult online, but it's Extinction not able to stay alive. They are dropping. Lampent is forced out. Social forced out. Eventually they'll come back here, but not until the rest of the team is back. So ults are traded, but almost nothing happens. The bot doesn't make any progress forwards or backwards. Timp taking the high ground, looking for the angle. They go for the ult. J-Man falls to 1 HP. Ewan falls low as well, but the off angle is just a little bit too much for Extinction to follow up on, as Crazy Cat goes for the ultimate, and it's able to keep the rest of Extinction farther away from the fight, farther away from Timp. So Timp does fall. Biz now waiting for those bubbles from Gap to come online, and once it does, they look for the engage. Lampent, excuse me, goes for that engage, but instantly forced out. Juno TP is forced out, and the Suzu as well, and that's going to leave Biz just to go for a hard engage onto the back line with Ewan, but Biz forced out. The trade is there 1-for-1. Twirls will fall, and this back and forth brawly fight will eventually come to a head as Timp and Lampent, I thought it was going to come to a head, but the picks are coming through from Extinction. Down, but never out, as Extinction are finding the picks. Lampent finds 3 this fight. 4! Oh my god. The pulse might have been a whiff, but they still held that. Get it? Because, like, anyways, Extinction. Extinction have so many ults coming online here, and just like I was commentating with Naku on Friday, I just love to repeat the same nonsense whenever I can't think of something. Gap getting forced very low, having to use bubble, and the Suzu being forced out early as well. Ewan has that beat, but Social has the beat to match it. Both teams looking to use it here. The engage comes just in time, but Twirls is down before the beat can come out from Social. Juno falls to 1 HP and eventually falls, and they all fall like dominoes as Extinction doesn't quite get the beat off in time. They lost the great beat off. Biz is going to have that ult online, and Twirls is going to have their ult online, but the question will be, who will be there to touch? It will have to be Lampent. The bubble comes on to Lampent, but did they get the touch? Did they get the touch? They did get the touch. Social, though, instantly falls. The ult from Twirls is there, but the picks are not. And that will be Amplify, keeping their heads in the game, keeping a steady mind as Amplify. Although they remain on match point, they do keep their situation on the up and up. They stay up. They stay in it. Amplify picking up the map. That was such a hard sentence to get out. I don't know why that was such a dude. Lampin. I'm so glad we're seeing this. The early pick on the crazy cat. The pulse. I mean, if nothing else, forces out J-Man's position. You know, and then followed by that finding 2. But although it was a map loss for Extinction, obviously the bright spots were there. We saw Extinction pull out an insane like almost comeback, I want to say, but I think the biggest, I'd say, problem was that composition they started off on. Maybe they expected the Orisa composition to come out to play. Maybe they expected, I'm honestly not too sure, but I mean the monkey composition actually would have been perfect to play that echo comp in. So that's perhaps what they were expecting. But all in all, it will be Extinction's map pick, Extinction's band pick. We're going to Dorado. Extinction's, I'd argue, their best pick. And keep in mind, Twirls was in that map, but Amplify did ban that Wrecking Ball. So Pella can come in here to Dorado, which we've seen Pella play Dorado so many times and just take the game into their own hands. We've seen Lampent do the same on almost every single map. Timp like taking control, but falling on that Runasapi, on that push map, is gonna be, I'd say, the strategic breaking point for both of these teams. They're either going to come into this next map and Extinction will just pull back what they had maps 1 and 2 and they will dominate, or we're gonna see maybe the rest of Amplify start to understand, start to be able to put up more of a fight, because Dorado, yes, it does enable that ball a lot with the verticality and all those high grounds. And we know Pella's good at taking advantage of that. Same goes for Lampent, Juno, Timp, and Social. They're all so good at taking control of verticality and taking angles. We saw just Timp the other day on Friday against Shikigami, taking these hard off angles, most of the time with Social or Juno, and sometimes getting value, sometimes not, but every single time learning, adapting, and continuing forward with those plays, and ending up winning the game because of plays like that. So the individual plays are there, the macro play is there. The ban onto the ball maybe wasn't quite what Extinction wanted, of course, because that seems to be their comfort comp as of right now. So as we head to Dorado, I want to know how Amplify will play this. Will they stick to their guns, and will they continue to play that Zarya Vendetta that just worked for them on Runasapi, try and force a brawl against what will probably be a dive against a ball comp? Or will they switch things up again and maybe play something similar like they did on Ilios? I think it would be a mistake to do something like you did on Ilios. I think it would be a mistake to try and force the fast-paced comp of like a dive against a ball comp. I think you want to try to slow it down a bit. You want to try and play any type of brawl you can if you're Amplified. Now for Extinction, you want to pick up the pace again. When you have Twirls in, you're playing the Zarya, you're playing the Diva, you're playing a little bit slower than you would on like a Doom or ball. As we will be headed to Dorado, Cassidy being the first ban from the likes of Extinction, and from Amplify, Wu Yang. So they know Social's a threat, right? They know Social's a threat. They're ready. I'd say they're ready for it. Now it will be a matter of who can take the reins of this game, who can lock in. Now I don't think I'm allowed to type. I was gonna make a joke about prod casting org team. Like everyone says, yay. Look at the Iati beam. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait, actually, that could be smart to bait out a shot and see what they're on. It could be smart. But Timp on the Widow, looking for an early angle. Now, this composition from Amplify, I want to point out this composition from Amplify is extremely anti-dive. Timp sticking to the Widow here. Waiting them out, waiting for the angles to come to them. But this very slow brawly composition, I think is genuinely perfect for this map for Amplify against Extinction's composition. The likelihood is now, or sorry, the thought process now from Extinction needs to be how to best engage, and they decide to have Pella wrap all the way around, go for that hard engage, go for the boops, forcing out Lamp early. Crazy Cat on this BAP means that there is no TPing away. E1 has to stay glued to their BAP as Social and J-Man, Social and Timp both get dropped. And as much as Pella is distracting the backline, Pella's own backline is dead. So the fight is over, and it instantly gets reset a minute down already. A minute down already for Extinction. The setup taking so long, but the trades are there. The team composition swap is there. Lampant switching over to the Vendetta to match Biz, as well as Timp going on to the Freya to help control J-Man and keep them in a locker as Biz gets put into the locker of their own. Social does get taken down, which reduces the amount of rotational ability that the rest of Extinction has. The rock from Gap is huge. Oh my God, disgusting. But down but not out is Extinction, as Pella is still rolling around on this backline, perhaps looking to go for some mines here. Does split the rest of Extinction as the ult from Gap is there to force out Timp to barely miss out on getting that final blow onto Timp. Biz finds Social though when they all come slamming down. Timp does keep their, oh wait, the rally comes out. Why does that rally come out? Wait, I'm just not paying attention enough, I guess. I don't know why. Lampant barely getting kept alive from Juno. Juno with a huge engage. Pella and Lampant instantly re-engage. The BAP ult not finding much. J-Man though, there to engage with the rest of the team. There to be back up as the damage gets pumped into Extinction. And holy Gap, as Gap rocks Pella. This, I mean, what a brilliant composition from Amplify. I gotta give credit where credit's due. Okay, Gap and the rest of Extinction very much so opting for this slow, very passive style, forcing Extinction to go super deep and forcing Pella off the ball onto the monkey. We were just talking about on Friday against Shikigami how that Pella has improved on other characters. It's not just the ball, but Pella cannot escape the right click aim in. And the Kyriel comes in from Juno to try and keep them all alive. Biz gets forced out from the off angle. Now the beat is there from Social. Social leaves to try and speed back the rest of their team, but the rest of Amplify are able to speed out and just live. Ewan is close to getting that ult, but Timp shoves Gap into a locker, and the rest of Amplify isn't even able to touch. Pella just, I mean, the switch onto the monkey, okay, so like I see what we were going for. The crowd went kind of mild there. The crowd being me, trying to stagger Ewan. Juno themselves got killed, which is quite unfortunate. But the positive part of this composition is gonna be that Gap and the rest of Amplify can hold strong onto this high ground. They can stay on this high ground for a very long time as Gap takes down Lampant as soon as they try and engage. Gap now goes for an ultimate onto Pella, who was just trying to get out with their life. Pella not able to do a thing about it. No one able to save them. Juno not having that Suzu. Tried to use it earlier to save Lampant, but it will be a reset and go again. Pella on the monkey is going. I mean, whether you're on ball or monkey here, you're gonna have a tough time against this. I almost want to call it anti-dive comp that Amplify is playing. It has to. You have to play so slow and very much so rely on your DPS. And Pella overstays their welcome against that bat ball. Just not enough healing or anything in the world. Gap's shield also there to force them back, and the rest of Extinction. I mean, Lampin's trying to escape with their life, and they eventually do get out with that lovely life of theirs. The ult from downtown doesn't find anything. Pella, though, trusts that team to engage. Oopsies. But now, Pella's going to have that Primal online. Pella's going to be able to go a little bit deeper. Biz, J-Man, Ewan both all have their ultimates online. Lampin and Juno also going to be having theirs online shortly. Social. Sandcart forcing it. Pella forcing those off angles. Primals into the back line. Putting Crazy Cat into a locker. Bouncing them all the way across downtown. Keeping them away as far away as they can. Even though both Vendettas go for the ult. Biz's is better and takes down Lamp before they can get theirs off. The beat comes out from Social but doesn't find anything. As Timp does find Crazy Cat, but there's just not enough. There's just not enough life force to keep Extinction ecstatic and yearning. And unfortunately for Extinction, 30 seconds remain. 2 ults online. Gap's gonna have ult, though that could be the deciding factor. Timp and Juno both gonna have their ults online here. J-Man forced out early. Biz kind of playing that in between as Lampin goes aggressive so early. Timp catches that ult, or Timp throws that ult straight on the Biz's head. Holy actual like aimer of all time. This guy's on Kovacs 24/7. Ewan takes down Juno, which is going to be a lot of that healing gone, but the rest of Amplify is cut, removed from the equation. Algebra isn't a problem for them because there's